So well, this is not a competition, but I think I've been luckier with the time slot than my friend Giovanni's, because I got you after coffee, which means that your batteries are now fully charged and ready for the next session that we have. Welcome back, everybody, to this third panel, Building the Future of the Metaverse Economy, a Virtual Economy. And, well, it's a real pleasure. We're going to start with Professor Ana Mercedes López Rodríguez. She's a dear friend of the chair. She has already participated with us many occasions in our first Congress. She's also taking part in the white paper for the implementation of the Charter of Digital Rights that we will be presenting tomorrow. And I also needed to write down a little bit of her CV because it's impressive, and I really have a short-term memory, really bad, so I cannot. So I will say Ana Mercedes is Associate Professor of Private International Law in the University of Loyola. She holds a PhD from the University of Aarhus in Denmark, and I can confidently say that she has become one of the most prominent voices in Spain on the intersection of law and virtual reality. And today she will share her insights on the virtual economy through the lens of virtual goods. And with further ado, Ana Mercedes, the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you very much, Raúl. It's a pleasure being here in Alicante. Thank you so much for the wonderful organization, and yeah, it's wonderful to be among friends. I consider you as friends. And as you mentioned, the topic of my presentation today is the virtual economy through the lens of virtual goods. So let me start with a simple question. When you buy something digital, do you really own it? I will try to argue that even if you think you do, you actually, or in most cases, you don't. And in order to explain that, we need to look at, well, the virtual economy through the lens of virtual goods. Now we are beyond the hype, the initial hype of the metaverse, when we thought that the future was going to be or look like millions of people connecting every day. But behind that hype, there is something more transformative, and it's the emergence of a new category of economic assets, which are virtual goods. This can be from NFTs to virtual land, avatars, and the point is that if we want to understand the virtual economy, we need to understand and reconsider concepts like the very notion of property, of value, and legal concepts as property. And the virtual economy cannot be understood without understanding the nature, the markets, and the unresolved legal status of these virtual goods. So, at the heart of the virtual economy, there's the possibility of creating, of exchanging, and monetizing virtual goods. This can be, as I mentioned, in-game assets, digital identities, virtual plots of land, and the unique about these assets is a paradox, because they are infinitely replicable as digital content, but at the same time, blockchain technology creates artificial scarcity and the possibility of identifying ownership some kind of way. So, an example can be Beeple's artwork that was sold for $69 million. Anyone can copy it, but just one person owns the token. So the thing is that scarcity is not longer natural, but it's artificially engineered. So this raises a fundamental question. What exactly are we buying when we acquire a virtual good? Because in most cases, the answer is not intuitive. Buyers believe quite often, that they are buying and they are acquiring ownership in the traditional sense. But from the legal point of view, they are typically acquiring a token, which is just metadata, which is recorded on a blockchain. They are acquiring limited rights defined by platform terms and smart contracts. And they are acquiring a reference to an underlying asset. And critically, ownership of these goods does not necessarily imply having the intellectual property of that asset. So this disconnect between perception and legal reality is one of the structural problems of the virtual economy. So another example, in 2021, somebody paid $2.5 million for the first tweet. Not a company, not a building, a tweet. Anyone can see it for free. So why buy it? Why pay so much money for that? And it's because understanding how the virtual economy works means understanding the very concept of property, and here there are conflicting views. On the one hand, there are those that state that these virtual goods is just a license, they're just software, lines of code, they don't have any inherent value, it's just functional value. On the other side, there are those that say that yes, these are goods, they have value because they have exclusivity, they have market value, they have scarcity, and they behave like property because they can be bought, they can be sold, they can be accumulated. And in practice, the line lies between both theories. Because typically when you buy a virtual good, you're buying access to a given environment. You are getting a claim to authenticity, and you have the ability to transfer the token. But you don't get control over the underlying content. And this again creates a structural tension because economic behavior resembles property markets. From the legal point of view, this resembles a licensing system. And this mismatch generates uncertainty for users, investors, and regulators alike. You can see here different examples of different platforms that limit actually the rights of people buying assets in their platforms. So, but despite this ambiguity, virtual good markets have developed rapidly. We've seen multi-million dollar NFT sales. Not anymore, but they have been. Billion-dollar investments on virtual land and entire economies within gaming ecosystems. These developments reveal several key dynamics. First of all, is that these markets are driven by artificial scarcity and speculation, defined by the sense of being social signaling, I'm different than the others, and artificial scarcity. But also this economy is also characterized by platform dependency. If you buy an asset, it's always within a platform. If the platform shuts down, then you often lose your asset. This happened with the Microsoft Altspace that shut down some years ago. So if you had an asset there, well, you have lost it. Then this economy is also characterized by interoperability limitations because your asset exists within a given environment. Normally, you cannot use it in another platform, and that of course limits the long-term value and liquidity. You have invested in something within a platform, you cannot use it in another. But despite these problems, well, the virtual economy is flourishing because it allows creator economies, direct monetization without intermediaries, and frictionless global transactions. Now, about the law. What does the law say about the virtual economy and virtual goods? Well, there's no clear framework, at least not a comprehensive one. It is fragmented, and where some countries approach virtual goods like gaming or in gaming legislation, others apply traditional legislation by analogy, and it's not always adequate. We have also intellectual property conflicts. It's very easy to mint to digital content, but often you don't own any intellectual property rights. I think platforms like OpenSea, more than 80% of all the tokens have infringed intellectual property. So this is also a problem of these virtual goods. Then jurisdictional uncertainty. Last time I was here in Alicante, I spoke about all the jurisdictional uncertainty because from the point of view of who's competent to entertain a case, a claim regarding these assets, where's the asset located? Because if we have a blockchain-based platform, where's the asset? Then we have the problem of anonymity, which has been spoken or mentioned earlier. Anonymity, then blockchain transactions take place everywhere, but not in a particular place. So that really makes it difficult to locate the place of performance. And again, this complicates jurisdiction, choice of law, and recognition issues. And then we have contractual ambiguity, because normally the rights are defined by platforms' terms of use and smart contracts. But then we can be surprised because these terms limit rights. They prohibit, for example, resales, or they provide ongoing rights to creators and override traditional expectations, ownership expectations. Axie Infinity is one of the platforms, for example, that limits very much subsequent transfers and give ongoing rights to creators. So, as a result, many transactions resemble licenses rather than sales. Even they are marketed as ownership transfers. Then we have consumer protection gaps, lack of transparency. We also have fraud and scams and limited legal remedies. Imagine, for example, if we consider these platforms to be either if they are centralized, for example, owned by Meta, or decentralized like Decentraland. In the case of a centralized platform, assume that they have a jurisdiction clause saying that in case of any claim, you can bring a lawsuit against the platform in Palo Alto, in California. Okay. In the EU, we have consumer protection jurisdiction rules saying that if the professional targets the consumer at the member state of the consumer domicile, then the consumer gets to sue at home, at his domicile. But how do we know that these platforms are, or that somebody is targeting the consumer specifically in several member states, including the consumer's domicile? This is one of the things. Then we have the case of the decentralized platforms, because they are localized or they are driven on a blockchain. So this is even more difficult. So anyway, there are consumer protection gaps. And this is particularly problematic in the metaverse, in immersive platforms, where economy and psychology are so close interrelated, that, well, impacts are intensified. So let me just give you another example from virtual real estate. Imagine that you want to invest, or you do invest millions in a virtual plot of land because you want to develop a shopping district. And then suddenly user activity drops and the platform changes the rules. So your investment, it's practically gone. What can you do? Well, if it was in the real world, in the physical world, if you have some expropriation or some sort of regulation that really affects your investment, you can go to court and you can have compensation. But what can you do here? Because you don't own the environment, you just own a token. So actually, the thing is that property is mediated by the platform. The rights are limited by contract terms, by user terms and conditions, and there's not a universal recognition of title. So you think you own something, but it's the platform that really defines your rights. So, on the other hand, these plots of land, they have market value, they have scarcity, they have location. It's not the same having a virtual plot of land in one district than having it in, I don't know, fashion district in the central land. It's not the same. They are disputes over boundaries, neighboring conflicts, so they actually behave like property markets. So this demonstrates a key insight, that the virtual economy reproduces real-world conflicts, but there's not an equivalent legal framework to deal with it. So, the law is catching up, or trying to do so. In the UK, the Property Act from 2025 seems to, even though it's not expressly, seems to include a new category of property data objects, which may include digital assets. Then we have the UNIDROIT principles from 2023 on digital assets, which adopts a framework based on identifiability, exclusivity, and transferability. And then case law is also developing towards recognizing digital property. For example, we have a case from California, the Yaga Labs case, which recognizes NFTs as goods, at least from the point of view of trade law protection. And then in Spain, we have the Mango case, which separates very clearly ownership of the token from intellectual property rights. In order to complicate things, then we have the DAO problem. DAOs, they are a form of companies, decentralized autonomous organizations, which run on a blockchain. They are not incorporated in the law of any country, at least the maverick ones. We don't know the headquarters. We don't know who's liable. And this makes things more complicated. In the US, courts consider the DAOs as unincorporated associations, and this brings personal liability, which is quite dangerous. So we need also to regulate the DAO problem in order to bring more legal certainty to the virtual economy. So I'm finishing. Just to conclude, we need a so-called lex virtualis, a law for the virtual economy, which should be based on the recognition of digital assets as property. We also need to strengthen contract and consumer protection. We also need to regulate the DAO problem with jurisdiction rules based on on-chain realities. I'm trying to figure out still, maybe for the written paper, to find jurisdiction choice of law rules for the DAOs. And also, we need to combine traditional conflict resolution mechanisms on-chain, off-chain, in order to provide legal remedies both for consumers, investors, and so, and also to ensure platform accountability. Because at the end of the day, three truths remains. The paradox between licensing and ownership is real. There's fragmentation. There are cross-border problems that need to be addressed. And this is not about the metaverse hype anymore. This is about the virtual economy and the future of private law. Because platforms seem to be everywhere, but ownership is nowhere. So I'll leave the floor to my colleagues, which I think are going to be speaking on the political aspects, right, of the virtual economy.
Yes.
So, but I'll let Raul to introduce. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ana Mercedes, for such an insightful presentation. It's funny, I remember back when I started my academic journey around 2019, one of the first things I started to research on was crypto assets and virtual property. And even then, I already felt I was late to the debate because everyone was saying, we need regulation, we need clarity. So I thought, okay, this is about to come and this will be solved. And we are in 2026, we're still having the same debate and we're still waiting for a proper legislative response. So as Professor Bellalucia said in the previous panel, the law and the technology manage different times, and certainly it's taking its time to provide a proper legislative answer to these disputes. So thank you so much for such a comprehensive and insightful proposal. And now I'm equally delighted to welcome back Professor Timothy Jung. He's also a long-standing friend of the chair. He was back with us in December where he gave a thought-provoking seminar on the metaverse and the future of virtual economy. And I've also taken the time to write just a small bit of his long-standing CV. So Timothy is a third professor of XR at the Manchester Metropolitan University, where he founded and directs the Creative AR and VR Hub and leads the knowledge platform for operational and digital transformation. His work sits at the frontier of artificial intelligence, big data, and immersive technology for well-being and quality, with over 200 publications to his name. And he will now take us through metaverse economy and how the convergence of XR, AI, and regulated digital assets forge the next digital society. And Timothy, welcome back.
Okay,
The floor is yours.
so thank you so much. And also, it's my immersive experience within all the legal. I never had a conference with talking about everything about legal, which is great. But also at the same time, please accept me. During my academic career, the legal law, that is the last thing I want to deal with. Okay, I'm really interested to explore, experience, innovation. Great. Okay. But over the past years, what I realized was that a company develops some innovative things and want to scale up and want to go to global market. But at the end of the day, they have fundamentally two problems. Is they don't have money. And secondly, the legal things. It's all lagging behind. So all the innovative startups, they disappeared because of this legal thing. So, and then I, became to, okay, I should know some of it. I'm not expertise in legal, so don't consider me. I know everything. So you are the expert, but I'm going to share that my perspective from technology and or business perspective. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about XR, AI, and cryptocurrency and digital asset, which you covered. So thank you so much for that and the legal background. But actually, this is a really important pillar for the future economy, but also future society. That's what I believe. Just a little bit of an introduction. It's not very important, but I I spent a lot of time, okay, in the Excel for more than 15 years. And I organize a conference, Excel Metaverse conference every year, Estonia, June. Welcome everybody if you have time to. And this hub, this is association, I'm a president, okay, Immersive Technology Innovations. And then just a little kind of I'm trying my best to do research, okay? So hopefully my research is more impactful, okay, rather than just only pure academics reading it. And then this is me, okay? You can find me in the Manchester Airport, Terminal 3, okay? So, yes, you can find me, okay? When you collect the luggage, try to find me, okay? Now we talk about the hype of Metaverse. I think the terminology of Metaverse is dying because we experienced the Metaverse winter, okay, and somehow Metaverse also is going down. And then I think it's part of the process, okay, hype and experience very difficult time, but it will become our normal in the long run, okay, and I think it's very popular, like a framework, Metaverse, convergence model by the ASF, okay? Augmented reality, live logging, middle world, which is digital twin, and virtual world. But I think this is too simplistic to explain where we are. And last year, I published kind of paper in the Journal of Service Research. So one of the top journal in the service industry, where there's some misconceptions and some fundamental components are missing there. Misconception is Metaverse is a virtual world because everybody believes the Metaverse is avatar. Okay? No, that's not. Actually, the reality is Metaverse is encompasses all these components, like a middle world, digital twin, multi-user virtual environment, and virtual world in more virtual reality context. But actually, in the augmented reality side, which we will see the real world, that's live logging augmented reality, but AI cloud, which is more advanced kind of cloud-based and AI-enabled, that kind of advanced augmented reality is there, okay? So I think we are more diversifying, okay? So Metaverse is not one part of the technology. Virtual world is only one part of it, okay? But actually, we don't say that augmented reality is not Metaverse, but actually, conceptually, I think I'm challenging that. Metaverse is a bigger concept, okay? And this is my definition, which in 2023. It's augmented digital world, that blending. I think there are two very important. Physical and virtual is blending together. However, there are space. Space will be provided by XR technology, okay? But fundamentally, the space is emptied, years ago. But that empty space will be filled with the AI-generated contents, and even AI agent or avatar, AI-enabled avatar will do the kind of activities in that space. But fundamentally, many people or many game companies, they kind of we explored. But if there's no economic activities, then it's nothing. It's just fun. It's just game. Okay, it's just exploring. So fundamentally, what I saw, that hype is so high, but it's reduced dramatically. Why? Because there's no real economic benefit. That's one of the perspective I had when I look at the Metaverse. So we need a cryptocurrency, NFT, okay, and to trade off either avatar or human, whatever the players, but you need to trade off. Okay, either own, possess, or license. There is the economic benefit. Otherwise, Metaverse doesn't mean anything to any company. Okay, and I think reality check, as historically, there are actually now give up all the virtual world. The team who build the virtual Metaverse space, we know that numbers down, and actually there are huge. Lost, okay? And they are more putting on the AI at the moment, okay? But there are, fundamentally, I think there are some, this is my technology and economic business perspective, but there are three fundamental things. Of course, there are some other things that will be important barriers, but like identity, I think the session, before, if there's no identity, then that is a big problem when it comes down to trade-off. Yes? I think we pay with a card, but bank actually verify who we are, right? So no portable identity is a real problem in the metaverse, and also payment system is fragmented. There's no single way to pay. Token can be issued various different players. It's not accepted by everybody. Okay? And also, it's too expensive to do any activity in the metaverse. High transaction cost. So if digital identity is like a lack of a verifiable, portable, and persistent digital identity, I think there's some strong kind of a movement to a single digital identity. But I don't think that is every single public organization or private company are using at the moment. I think it's an evolving stage. Okay? But also avatar problem. Who owns the avatar? Who owns avatar? And also, if the avatar, in AI is being avatar, then I think there are 4 different types of avatar. Number one, only 100% human control. Okay? But extreme opposite is AI agents control everything. Our human give a permission, so he can do book, buy anything. Okay? Legally, he can do whatever he wants. But in between that, like a type 3 avatar is, we do the 80% of a human, but 20% we get some information. But type 3 one is, AI will do, agent will do 80%, but human will just verify and just like give us some endorsement. In that case, if something happened, then whose liability? I think there's a big problem in the insurance point of view. Okay? So need for regulatory kind of back to the trust system is really needed. In order to that, digital identity is fundamentally important. Okay? So who are you? Okay? If you don't know who you are, then it's a fundamental problem. We cannot trade off. Okay? And second one is payment system. Is very volatile. Token is very volatile, and closed payment rails, and no seamless, and it's a not legally recognized system at the moment in the metaverse. Okay, so I think game A, platform A, using different payment system, is working in its own platform, but it's not interoperable. It's not transferable. Okay, so. Because of that, even you talk about metaverse economy, but actually it's only working that. So it means the tech giant, they want to have their own platform, more influence, more power. Okay? It's not like a utopia, it's not kind of platform which everybody can access and operate. So how are you going to make a payment? So those are the 2 fundamental, I think, issues from my experience when I look at more than 15 years. So we look at the Excel technology and why metaverse is dying. Fundamentally, we can't verify identity and the payment issues. And third one is transaction cost. I think it's highly linked to the identity and payment issue. If there's unstable identity, and also vulnerable payment, then we start to spend a lot of time and effort to search that he's reliable, okay, trustable. If it's too much cost, then company, they don't want to go for it because they don't want to have a liability. That's why insurance company, they don't want to take any responsibility in this economy. If they are not part of it, then I think it's a big problem in the economic perspective. So from my perspective, I think 3 fundamental technology like Excel and AI and cryptocurrency, which is digital asset, is quite important technology, but also it should integrate it and it should work together. It's a convergence of these 3 technology may give some kind of hope or one more step further for the metaverse economy or digital economy, whatever the terminology it is, maybe economy is possible. Okay. So, and also according to some convergence theory, rather than just one technology, some 2 or 3 technologies combined together, there are synergy effect. Okay? So actually, XL will give us a space like a spatial computing, and I think clearly it will give us some like more interoperability in a platform, also the Open XL and Web XL, and also like transforming how we collaborate. Okay? And AI is a generative AI. We see that, but as I mentioned, now we are looking at like agentic AI. Agentic have much more flexibility. What they can do is beyond our imagination at the moment. So, but actually we don't know how the potential of this AI influence in this virtual space. But it should be very safe, okay, and then personalized AI should be implemented in this space, okay. And also like a blockchain based, okay? We believe it's a secure, safe, okay, and transparent, instant payment is possible, and with token and the cross-platform asset movement is possible through these crypto-based or blockchain-based token. But actually, the problem is cryptocurrency is volatility. This problem is fluctuating, so we can't really trust the Bitcoin or Ethereum. Okay, I think we are 50% devaluated at the moment. Yes. Okay. So there are some examples of how XR and AI and digital cryptocurrencies are working together and building real economic benefit, like some of the museum and art gallery. So as soon as you virtual museum and the AI will be appeared, and they will approach you, and then they introduce you, and then they recommend you, and then they buy, and they will give you some kind of a smart contract, endorsement that's yours. Okay? So there are some examples like that. Okay? So I think if these 3 technologies converge together, and then I think there may be you could find some breakthrough to the development of the future next economy. So I see the XR AI blockchain is quite fundamental. Of course, there are some other technologies is important, but it's really key for the next economy. Now, when it comes down to the currency, I think there are big currency wars happening. It's more political, geopolitical. So I think big challenge from China, okay, against dollar. There are some currencies like a USA and an EU, euros, and China is one thing, okay? But also there are some tension between traditional like financial powers like Wall Street, all the banks. Because as soon as we use this token or digital currency, why you use the banking system, SWIFT network? We have to pay commission, 10 euros, 15 euros, and it takes 5 days to transfer my money to somewhere in like Asia. Why? It takes less than 1 minute. Now instant transfer is possible. Okay, so I think there are really power game between the existing banking, team and all the American government and also the tech giants, which can take advantage of this technology. So U.S., it's really, when I look at all this technological innovation, America is like attackers, okay? They want to come to invade, our life, our space. And Europe is always trying to protective, okay, a defender, okay? So I think they are very aggressive now, okay? So CBDC Act, we don't use central bank digital currency. Because why? Because China is using it. We don't want that. We don't want to give our ownership to the China. No. Then Genius Act is something, the legal action that anybody can issue the digital currency. Okay? The stable coin. Stable coin is, normally our token is very volatile, but stable coin is close to $1. It's very, very stable. Okay? So it's already, the act is passed, but clarity is a problem. Okay? Actually, it's a big like a power game between the Wall Street and the tech giant or Trump. government. So this act is the third one. America said, no, we don't want to use the central bank because China used it. Genius Act passed. Now, the only one last thing is the stable coin, okay? The stable coin, why is it important? Because it's trustable, payment, stability. It solved some of the problems we had, okay? But last one is Clarity Act, which is currently, I think there is, that act is not being passed in the American, at the moment, because the market postponement they predicted it will pass in April, but now it's postponed to May. And the election window risk, if it's not passed before now, then I think after the American election, I think that Credit Act will be not happening, okay? And also market sentiments, they're a bit kind of negative in terms of passing that act. However, actually, the fundamental reason is because a big power came between all the financial institutions, all the bankings in the world, and they have the fiat currency. But actually, the cryptocurrency or stablecoin is the new currency. Okay, so I think the Europe's response is very, very not active. It's defensive. So they have a MiCA. Okay. So they are trying to have their own. But this part of some other acts like a GDPR or DSA we talked about, which is platform governance, and DMA is market competition, AIX is AI system regulations. Trust me, I don't know this very well. Okay, you are the expert. Okay, but I just kind of superficially know that EU is trying to have this kind of actions against, okay, to defend what America is trying to do. So from the currency point of view, I think this is a very interesting time historically, because gold was used. The currency means is the right to buy resources, energies. So in the past, gold was reserved and they can issue the dollars or currency. Now, the petrol dollar was used when, if you want to buy and sell the oil, you have to use dollars. Now, the currency is not energy, okay? Currency is energy. That's Elon Musk said. Now, at the moment, the energy is electricity. So this all the a legal movement from America is trying to become dollar, has got kind of a power of a dollar, and it's trying to be repositioning dollar as an electronic dollar. However, I think I found some interesting movement. In the long run, they want to make it dollar, every dollar, through the real world asset. Okay, real world asset is everything will be tokenized. At the moment, I'm not the lawyer, so make it kind of correct. Okay, legally there are certain things you can buy and you cannot buy. However, if this Clarity Act, okay, if everything is tokenized, real world then all the buildings or whatever, everything will be tokenized and blockchain based. It means technically you can buy anything. That is what kind of America is trying to do, every dollar. So now all the people in the world, globe, want to use dollar and that to buy anything. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's some very political things happening now. And when I see these sort of things, okay, and we are talking about metaverse economy, it's clearly separation from the existing economy. All the governance and the financial system is slightly different. What we are talking about metaverse is different from the existing system. So we cannot use existing currency. We cannot use existing, legal things, okay? But when I look at what is trajectory, what is a long-term future, then currency's energy means what Elon Musk is trying to do is that, the more we use AI, we need more electricity. It causes lots of climate issue, sustainable issue. But what he's trying to do is going to get the power, electric power from the space, okay? And he's got transport, all the rockets, and he's got all the neural, link. Okay, so he's got network. He's got network. Means, okay, in order to trade off all the energies and all the resources from outside of this Earth, then you need a new currency, complete new systems. Okay, I may be wrong, but I can see that both in the metaverse economy we are talking about, both futuristic, is maybe a bridge. Okay. Before you go to space economy. So not between country, not between continent, competition or trade-off, but maybe it will be like a trade-off between Earth and Moon and space. Okay? Anyway, my conclusion. So come back to the now, okay? Clearly, metaverse economy is just different from the existing economy, okay? And there is lots of issues, especially legal issues. So there are misconceptions. Metaverse is technology, but it's actually not. It's not probably it's concept. And one of the fundamental hurdles is there's no economic kind of activities. There's no identity, no payment. Okay, it's too expensive. That's why I believe that's why metaverse economy is not growing as we expected. And these three technologies can combine together. Then I think there are some way to move forward to create a metaverse economy or digital economy. But in order to do that, you need a really legal, backup, like stable coins or digital asset. Without legal, nothing will happen. Okay, so I think the legal people or the people who are regulate people, they need to work hard. Okay? That's my view from the business point of view. And let's see how it goes. Fingers crossed, okay? And I'm really looking forward to next 5 years. So much change will be made, and what is currency, economy, what is going to happen. That is a really kind of personal interest, but also I'm very happy that we can do a lot of research, okay? As academics, we can do, so many different research around these important and future economy issues. Okay, thanks for your listening. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Timothy, for bringing us lawyers a very much needed financial point of view, and also for showing that, against the claims of many people, the metaverse and its economy, they are not dead. They just need some proper legal CPR. So that's why we named the Congress Metaverse Reloaded. Yep. And last, but certainly not least, it's an honor to introduce Professor Enrique Bigné, one of the leading figures in marketing research in Spain. He has been a professor of marketing at the University of Valencia ever since 2001, and his research spans advertising, tourism marketing, neuromarketing, and virtual reality. And his deep understanding of consumer behavior in digital environments brings up perspective that is really essential to today's panel. And without further ado, Enrique, the floor is yours to speak about the B-commerce versus the M-commerce.
Thank you, Raul. Sorry, do I have to press something here? No, it works.
No, maybe just a little bit closer.
Okay, so now? Okay, thank you so much for this invitation, and also and congratulations. Second remark, congratulations for this fantastic conference. Hopefully we will have another edition next year. My third comment is that, nobody's perfect, including myself, because I'm in the group of non-legal persons of this conference. Well, and you, but I didn't want to mention you. I said that I wasn't perfect one. Sorry for that, but we will try to make it soft for you. In fact, I'm going to invite one of my avatars. By the way, I don't remember, I was trying to count the number of avatars I have developed. I made this one particularly for this conference. It's not really an avatar, it's a voice assistant person, but anyway, close to. But I have other avatars, so I'm particularly interested in a legal point of view, because I don't want to be in prison for many years. I want to be there just for knowing what it is and what's going on there, but not for many, even months. All right, so I'm gonna invite. I have to press. I'm going to invite my my avatar to give us some.
Hi, how are you today? This is just to show you how easy it is to get an avatar. This avatar is not based on my current appearance, but you can create several avatars for different situations. Your appearance actually changes depending on whether you're at work, at a party, or on vacation. That is what you do in the real world. Why don't do it in the metaverse? Different questions arise. First, who owns this avatar? In this case, Enrique.
Second, what behavior is allowed? Is this avatar autonomous for shopping, chatting, or even giving advice to someone?
Okay, so the key question of my presentation is to deal with the metaverse. If the metaverse will work, not as from a legal point of view, that obviously you cover fantastically during this the full day, not only from a technical point of view. Instead, I want to go through the commercial lenses of the metaverse. As an introduction, you already know that we are in the e-commerce era. And probably 10 years back, we didn't expect that, we will buy products online and so on and so forth. Only at the universities we were buying just books because they weren't, for instance, here in Spain, etc. But now we are buying every time, every day, every kind of product, right? So the question is, will the metaverse develop a similar path? Well, it seems that it's not going to be the case, at least so far. Okay, but let's explore why and if there are some potential avenues for improving or fixing this situation. So I have articulated in three main managerial challenges the elements of the metaverse. The first one obviously comes from the X reality world. Then the artificial intelligence, and lastly, a new concept that I will introduce later, which is phygital. In X reality, we are, promoting the idea of instead of the e-commerce, virtual reality commerce. In a different sense as the one that we listened before. So it's not having only, let's say, virtual goods. It's probably having virtual goods, but also tangible goods. Can I buy products like this one, a bottle of water, instead of using an e-commerce site, using a virtual commerce site? Well, could be the case. Again, 20 years back, we didn't expect the successful evolution of Amazon. And then, if the X reality and virtual commerce will lead to the metaverse. And then, if the metaverse makes some progress, we will have probably the m-commerce. In other words, the commerce through the metaverse. For buying digital products, but also, again, tangible products. This bottle of water. And the good news is that we have some new measurements surrounding these virtual reality, artificial, and phygital domains. Basically, I'm referring to three types. The first one is what I call macro data. The second one is micro data, and the third one is measuring in real time. And as I will try to share with you later, one of the potential avenues for fixing the current situation is the concept of the value of the data. If you think for a second in terms of a very simple example such as Google, Google is not charging us at all for using Gmails and YouTubes, etc., right? But Google knows the value of our usage in terms of delivering information to others, right? So probably there is something that we have to think about in terms of the metaverse. Okay, so let's explore each by one. BigCommerce, I wanted to bring this citation for only one reason. The first author comes from this university, so he's a good friend of us. It's Jesus Martinez Navarro from this university. And in 2019, we coined the term virtual commerce for referring to those physical interactions that can be done through the virtual, through the virtual worlds. Okay. Well, some examples are now here. For instance, on the one on the left, but it has some elements in Spanish, as you can see, but it's Amazon. Amazon is using augmented reality, in this case, not virtual reality, for showing if the sofa comes to the right place in your own home, not in a hypothetical living room. And the one on the right-hand side, you can download this app and similar apps, and you can, with your smartphone, and I will refer to the smartphones later, because we are in this culture, not in the other culture of the glasses. You can download, as I was saying, this one and other similar apps, put the smartphone looking at your feet, and then you will see exactly this. You will wear the specific sneakers or any kind of product in your real legs, not in a simulated leg or legs. Okay? All right. So let's watch also this video. I don't know. No. You have, Raúl, can you press here at the X?
Yes, yeah.
This is a simulated version of the virtual reality commerce. It's not a recent one. It's a very old one. We are at home.
I need to do the shopping.
We wear the glasses.
Welcome, Anne. What do you need?
Hi, Super. I need some pasta.
Interact with our voice, by the way.
Let's see then. Ah, there it is. Whoops, I almost forgot. Lucy, who's gluten intolerant, is also going to be there tonight. Show me just the gluten-free products, please.
Anne, I have activated the gluten filter for this shelf.
Now I need snacks for my son.
Hey, Anne, you have almost reached the number of points necessary to claim the new prizes. I'll highlight the products that award more points.
Yes, Super, thank you. Look at these. So many points and great ratings. Nice, I'll take it. This is nice. What is it?
Would you like to take a closer look?
Yes, please. I like that.
Should I book a test drive?
Thanks.
Test drive booked. I have sent you the address via email.
Great. But now I need to get some shampoo.
Can you stop it here for a second?
This won't.
2 seconds before that. Yes, perfect. Thank you. So this is a fascinating, at least for me, example of integrating different technologies. Not only the virtual thing that we are a fan of virtual reality, as you can imagine, but also with voice interaction, with the social media. You have seen the previous comments that, oh, the ratings are good, and blah, 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 blah. Now, in the shampoos section, we can, or in the video, they can see what are the recommendations of my friends, digital friends in this case, right? And also on the right-hand side, I don't know if you are able to see it from your seats, there are some metrics. Some of those metrics are related to the neuro measurements, right? So if we are able to get, let's say, integration of different elements that we are currently using in our real world, probably there is a chance. My feeling is that, okay, despite of the fantastical technical benefits of the virtual reality itself, we have not integrated with other, technical developments that we are currently as a consumers using in our daily lives. So there is room for improvement in this sense. So what are the key differences between the e-commerce and the virtual commerce? Obviously, all of them are in favor of the virtual commerce, except one. They are the interactive level is much more higher in the virtual reality. The immersion level, again, much more higher. The consumer decision process, and probably the absence of intermediaries is the main limitation. We don't have the Amazon, we don't have the Temu, we don't have the Shane, we don't have all those intermediaries. If you think for a second who is Amazon as a type of company, Meta, Meta is not an intermediary, right? Amazon is an intermediary, right? That sells products made by others, right? Probably we don't need to reinvent the wheel. What we have to apply is what we learned from the past. Okay, so definitely the m-commerce has not yet been fully adopted and probably won't be adopted anymore. I don't know. But let's explore why we haven't done a proper way. The first one is, one of my first explanations is that the metaverse was conceived at the very beginning with a fun orientation. Let's have fun, let's focus on the gaming industry. So it's really hard as a consumer, think about yourself. It's really hard to change your mindset and say, hey, I'm playing, I'm gaming, and now I'm gonna buy my bottle of water. I mean, those things are not common in our daily life activities. And the second explanation is that there are a few developments in the business area. There are developments in other fields, but not in business. So it's really hard to adopt because there are no options. Also, because we come from the, what I call the smartphone culture. So we are doing these kind of things now I can count how many of you are doing this, or I did it when I was there. All the time we are in the finger culture, in a very positive sense of the don't get me wrong. Also, the low immersion level of some of the applications that are available now. In our real life decisions, we are making fast browsing and quick decisions. We think for a second in terms of a Snapchat and Instagram, TikToks, etc., etc. Consumers don't resist more than 15 seconds. If the content lasts for 30 seconds, consumers will do something like this. Okay, next. Oh my goodness. So fast browsing and quick decisions. That thing doesn't fit well with the exercise of wearing head-mounted display glasses, navigating in the virtual world, discovering things, etc., etc. Except if we are playing games. And the last one is that, in general terms, consumers are so efficient in terms of their tasks. So if they are going to do their purchase of daily purchases, they are going to do a routine, and they know what to do and how to do and when to do. Okay, so that is not easy to find in the virtual world, and even or less in the metaverse. How would be a metaverse store? Well, it's really, as I was saying, it's really hard to have, let's say, very good examples. I'm bringing this one. Yeah, it works.
Welcome Semblance, the fashion's entry to the metaverse. Let your audiences immerse themselves with your brand like never before. Explore your product offering, engage with your brand stories for the season, and interact with unique touchpoints. It allows for brands to celebrate their own identity, all powered by advanced technology and inspired gamification. The future of brands, new generation solutions, and gamification is here.
Okay, at the end of the day, it is about virtual commerce, but also integration of other technologies that consumers already use every single day. So what are the main differences between the virtual commerce and the m-commerce? So the presence of the avatars is one of the things, fueled by the artificial intelligence for sure. Autonomy, Professor Jung mentioned it earlier. The absence of a legal framework or a fragmented framework, as Anna said earlier. And my point is absence of intermediaries. And from an economic point of view, the presence of an intermediary is critical in any economic activity, not only in the digital world, also in the physical world. Okay? So if we don't have intermediaries in the virtual and metaverse world, probably it will be hard to get it as a successful activity. All right, so some words about the artificial intelligence. Professor Jung mentioned also it earlier. I want to bring a couple of ideas here. So basically we are in the generative artificial intelligence, right? Which is fantastic, and I don't want to make any more comments. But there are Professor Rust and Ming Huang distinguish these 4 types of artificial intelligence. The fourth one, what they call empathetic, essentially the emotional component of artificial intelligence, is yet to come. And it will transform more than we have seen with the generative artificial intelligence. At the end, generative is a very fascinating activity, but it's based on routines, or it's based on recognition, and it is based on mathematical advanced algorithms. And internal decision-making process, right? So these 2 authors are highlighting the concept of feeling economy. Probably it's a concept that sounds a bit strange, because when I buy a bottle of water, I don't expect to have better feelings. What I have to have is just water for drinking it every day. But if you go further, probably you will understand that there is an emotional component in each of our purchases decisions. Okay, what happens with the artificial intelligence? Very simple. How many of you haven't used artificial intelligence? All of us. In how many years? So the adoption rate is really high. We are using not only one, more than one. And don't ask your kids about how many or our kids how many artificial intelligence apps are using. It's easy to implement. That's why I presented one of my avatars. It took me, I don't remember, but some minutes to choose the appearance and prepare a minimum text. Oh, by the way, have you realized my excellent British accent? Not now with my avatar. Oh, but I can speak, I don't know, many other languages. I'm not going to mention others. Okay, and also the legal challenges, such as the license. I'm bringing an example from the legal, from the law domain. Díez Picasso, I don't know if in Spain we are still using Díez Picasso as a man. Okay, perfect, thank you. Or can we license George Clooney for having a cup of coffee this afternoon in Champs-Élysées? These guys from this side are always thinking bad things, just about money. If I license that, I will need the lawyer for not going to prison. But probably if I win a lot of money, I can pay the lawyer. Right? I'm making the joke, but for showing you that, okay, it's not a simple question. The regulation, I prefer the regulation than the absence of regulations, for sure. I prefer the regulations than the criteria. And but it's true that if I go further and I license George Clooney today, and I'm offering you having coffees with George Clooney in the Champs-Élysées, probably I can monetize that license, and I will get €1 by each of you, and then I will get probably 1 million. My last part is the phygital economy. What is phygital? It's a concept that merges the world physical with digital. The digital world is incredibly success. We are doing it every moment, every time, for almost everything, right? The point is the physical domain has not made an integration of some of the potential developments of the digital world. It's not only a matter of saying, okay, I'm going to provide with smartphones in the stores, right? But it's a matter of saying, okay, if I'm able to first get data from consumers, second, increase the experience of using or searching for my products, probably consumers won't buy all the products through the digital channels. Probably they will go to the, let's say, traditional or physical stores. Here you have a couple of examples. In the right hand side, you see a real example where there are a couple of head-mounted display glasses for people in a tourism office when people want to, explore some potential visits in a tourism destination. And in the one on the left, every time that a consumer drops the product in the screen, this is a screen. The only difference is that this is really small and probably that one is so big. In the screen pops up some information related to the product. And then, again, our culture of the finger, in the good sense of the word, comes through this example. All right. So definitely this concept matters because sometimes the boundaries are blurred. There are multiple interfaces that can be integrated, and remember that we are extremely dependent on these devices. I'm probably insisting too much on that concept, but think about yourselves or ourselves, and probably we will agree on that. And then we have to integrate what consumers are doing. It's really hard, although, can I say we?
Yes.
Okay.
No problem.
Although we come from marketing, believe us that we don't try to change the world, etc., etc. And it's really difficult to change the consumer's mindsets. It is easier to know them, integrate them in what we expect to do, and in that sense, it's better if we integrate their current habits into the metaverse. Instead of trying to change from the current culture into a new type of culture, such as the metaverse. Okay. And lastly, data. What is what I call macro data? What we call big data. So big data is the Google domain in one word. Micro data is neuro measurements, going further in terms of what consumers are reacting from an emotional and non-conscious perspective. And lastly, to get valuable information of consumer decision process in the moment that they have to make a decision. Just for giving you and this is what we basically do in our neuromarketing lab and research group. For giving you an example, this is one of the virtual reality settings that we crafted for conducting research. The idea is it was in Spanish, but you have the translation in the upper part. So at the end, we wanted to know how consumers made decisions in order to book a hotel room, right? If I can provide the information based on the consumer decision process on real time. Thank you. Someone heard that I was mentioned the finger culture. So if I place the participants in a real hotel with all those facilities, the price, the rooms, the ratings, the location, facilities, the gym, and all that. So the way they look at the information, the order of choosing the items and so on and so forth delivers incredible valuable information for a company. And probably that can be one of the exchanging processes between the metaverse and the potential users. In our case, we used, we compared the 2D, the traditional website with a 360-degree website with a virtual reality, wearing the head-mounted display glasses, and we measured click-throughs and also different neuro measurements, including the electroencephalography. Okay. Oh, we had an avatar too, and I forgot to mention that, and they had to book the room, and they participate in a potential gift for visiting the place. Conclusions. Basically, immersive experiences, from my point of view, will be with or without avatars. Avatar is a good innovation, but probably some people, like crazy people like some of us, like to have different avatars and having fun with different avatars. But probably other consumers, in this case, probably won't have different avatars which benefits the legal perspective in terms of having a clear single digital identity. The second conclusion is that we should make a focus on the intermediaries, not the producers. From my point of view, the company Meta is a producer, it's not an intermediary. The third one is understanding the consumer decision process. So the metaverse can be a valid lab for companies to know how consumers make decisions, because in many cases companies don't know, or they want to know more about what consumers do. The fourth one is embedding the existing habits of consumers, and particularly the phygital approach. And lastly, probably beyond the blockchains, so the cryptocurrencies, and even money, real money, we have to think on an additional currency, which is data, either digital data and neuro data. Okay, so thank you so much, and obviously if there is any question, I will be more than delighted to answer. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you also very much, Enrique, for such an interesting presentation. I think it's a perfect way of rounding up this session and finishing this interdisciplinary touch that we've been lucky to witness this afternoon. So I will open the floor for questions and yeah, let the audience speak.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. What a great panel. I really enjoyed being a lawyer. It was really good. And then there was real legal stuff. And so my question, obviously more legal because I don't have the knowledge to talk with you in your language. It's to Ana Mercedes. And I would like to know a little bit your opinion about the UK, the Digital Assets Act. Because it's really short, right? So when I looked at it, and because it was saying, well, I just confirmed again, but like trying to paraphrase, basically digital items are not prevented from being object of property. Are not prevented. We in law, we always have these issues with the negative formulations, because it doesn't say they are property, just say that they can be. So in my view, they are putting all the weight of the decision on courts. Courts will have to decide how it works. So is this really solving an issue, or is creating more problems than the one it solves? And since I have the micro, very quickly, because Enrique, when I was doing the presentation on avatars, it's not on marketing because I don't know how to discuss that, but you said something really interesting. You said, who owns this avatar? And I was thinking, well, because avatars are made of data, and those will be personal data, and under the GDPR, EU law in general, I don't own my own data. I have personal rights over data, which is an interesting discussion, because if you compare with the United States, where people actually have property rights over data. So basically, all my question is about property over digital assets. It's for you, but any of you, if you want to share your thoughts, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vera. Yeah, the UK Property Act is not explicitly, or is not, it's that digital data can be owned, but it's the Law Commission reports previous to this Digital Property Act that mention the possibility of digital assets being considered as property. So it is not explicitly, and in a very good common law tradition, let's see what the courts say about it. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's about time. So, and I don't know if you want to answer about the avatars or who owns the avatars. It might be, if I may say something, well, it's the avatars an object or a subject? Because this is another question. Can they be subjects, legal subjects?
Some people say so, according to the existing law.
No way, no.
According to the legislature.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so.
Well, it's a very interesting question. Definitely, probably I'm not the right person to answer from a legal point of view. But a couple of comments. I don't make my avatars public, first. I do it for research purposes, right? But going further, I download the information based on my experiments, etc. But also in our in other disciplines, including marketing, we tend to download 1 million comments from the social media, TripAdvisors, bookings, blah, 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 Facebooks, Twitters, etc., etc. I'm not the owner of the information, but I'm using the information, obviously with a research purpose in my case, but probably one company can do a similar thing. The frontier for knowing if that activity of downloading the information already public in the social media is not so clear as far as I know, but so far I haven't been in prison. But please give me your cards, yes, and
maybe in the metaverse.
Yeah. I think if the avatar is used for research purpose, fun, okay, it's personal use, then maybe it's okay. Okay. However, as soon as the avatar is used, for example, I think Enrique mentioned about emotional AI. Okay. Believe it or not, that is being exploited by many people in some countries. Okay. So they identify that I think there are about 80 or 90 different emotional things, and AI actually, if you want to buy somebody to buy something, then you can manipulate the emotions, and then they can buy. Okay, or you can make it kind of if it's too energetic, okay, for like your children is too energetic, for example, then I think you make a little bit of depression. I mean, there are manipulation of emotion through AI is being, I think, is exploited in some countries. I know. Okay, so as long as the avatar is being used by very, very personal, localized exploitation, then I think that's your own, like a choice. So not a problem, but. As I mentioned, probably that's my guess. Okay, I don't know. I don't have a legal kind of like a judgment or expertise knowledge. But when AI have some permissions or liability, or if becoming an agent, and there are some impact or outcome based on what the avatar's action, then I think it's going to be very, very, problematic. And the question will be, whose liability? Is me or company or platform? All those, potential issues might be arising. And then it's very difficult to actually, there are lots of tension between, many different, like, not players, but environment, players and environment as well. Okay? So I can't give you an answer, but it's not easy situation. But I think more like there are call for many questions. More questions will be aroused now, especially do we need to give a citizenship? Okay, I think we talk about robot. Okay, should I give citizenship or not? If it's avatar, Should we give or not? I think so. I think that's very. I don't want to think about, but I think is it being used for personal use, or is it being used for the manufacturing only the production one, or is it being used for the decision making, which huge influence on the public or country? I think it's a whole different level of influence. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not expertise, but you may comment on that as well.
Yeah, this is a very discussed or controversial question about avatars, whether they are objects or subjects. So far, the main view from the European Union, they're objects, so there's strict liability, not on them, but whoever is producing these avatars. But there, I think it's in Saudi Arabia where they have granted citizenship to an avatar. So there are different views, but in Europe, there's no way. They are not legal subjects. So basically, there are different questions here. Not only whether they can be subject to rights and obligations, but also you cannot hold anyone liable if they don't have assets. I mean, because in case an avatar is held liable for something, for a wrong, who's paying? Mm-hmm. So this is another issue.
Thank you. Hi. Fascinating panel. Verity from before. I'm really curious about what you think needs to happen about the capacity of platforms to just shut things down. I think in some of the creative communities that I work in, the impact of AltSpace shutting down was that a lot of people lost their livelihoods because they built companies, they built performance practices, they built kind of whole worlds that they were monetizing that just went. And the same is about to happen with Meta's Horizon platform. And in that case, actually, people who were initially publishing on the store were enticed and encouraged to start putting their content in Horizon Worlds, and very much heavily discouraged from having them independently available. And so they moved their businesses, their products, their films, their experiences, their games into the Horizon Worlds, and have now been told that that's effectively their problem. They're gone. It feels like if Meta was a company that was going bankrupt, you could at least kind of sue for some sort of loss of earnings by being encouraged to move your business into a space that then evaporates. But in this case, because the VR platform is a service or a product that can be just shuttered, they appear to have no legal recourse. And I'm wondering if we feel like there's some sort of boundary that can be found where something moves from being a kind of a skin that you buy in Fortnite that maybe is going to go when the kind of the marketing moment moves on, as next to an enticement to start and maintain a company that is then moot.
Yeah, well, these are things that have happened, and the only framework we have, they are the terms and conditions of the platform. And they limit liability for those sort of things to very, very, it's just small amounts of money compared to the investment. So that's a problem. Yeah. It's a problem.
So who is responsible when that happens?
Yeah, well, if the platform changed the rules, okay, in the terms of use of the platform, usually there are clauses stating that in case we change the rules, you're entitled to so and so, and it's a very small amount of money compared to the investment you've made. So you could probably sue the platform for unfair terms or something, but unless you're a consumer, it's hard to win that case. And in case of a decentralized platform, this is even more difficult.
Yes.
I know I'm robbing myself from time later. Thank you. I want to make the philosophical stance now, sorry, because what I see from all your speeches that are super interesting for me, very far from my experience, there's something interesting you repeated, the fact that rights are mediated, we need intermediaries, there's always someone in the middle, and when we speak about identity in a public way, let's say in a legal way probably also, my ID is issued from my state or my city or whatever. So there is always something that is an intermediate entity that assures the third party that I am who I say I am through the ID, for example. In this case, it's some kind of a non-political political question, because we have some intermediaries that offer the space where we are going to have a commerce or meet other people in a metaverse social setting. And we also have entities that offer some kind of insurance of truthfulness of what we are doing or what we are declaring to be. So we are basically creating a different political structure if we think that identity needs to be assured by a third party or something like that. And this guarantee is the basis on which we accept to buy something or to sell something. I'll buy something from Amazon because I know that the image I see on Amazon should probably, in the most cases, be the same. And this is the role of Amazon. If I buy from an unknown website, this will be one of my concerns. If I meet someone in a social VR setting, which is the reassurance. If I buy an NFC, there is some kind of insurance, thanks to the blockchain, that reassures me about the identity. So the question is not a question, of course. But what do you think about this aspect of this? Because it's not just about contracts. It's about the ontological status and the political status of identity if we think about mediated identities in the case of many technologies, not just the metaverse.
I can start if you want. Okay. So definitely we trust on Amazon. I was checking when it was created.
72 or something?
94.
94, okay.
Now we are in a fast-moving culture of doing things today for working tomorrow, or even yesterday. I mean, consumers in general terms are not patient to this kind of. So what I'm trying to say with this quote is that, well, probably it's too early, first. Second, the Amazon concept is a kind of substitution process, and the virtual reality, the metaverse, etc., is not exactly a substitution process. It's a changing process of some of our consumer habits. I'm talking from a consumer's point of view, not from a technological point of view. So both things probably make the thing. And definitely trust is something that delivers all of the purchases in the physical, in the digital, and probably in the metaverse world.
Yeah, that's for sure. The interesting thing is that once it was, the interesting thing for me is that once this was a public role or institutional role, now it's the role of some private companies. That's also, if we look at digital ethics, it's the same. We see private companies that are supposedly taking stance on ethics that governments are not taking.
Yeah, well, this is the effect of technology and blockchain technology, that the role of the state or public authorities has been substituted by consensus. So this is a trend that we've seen in many areas.
Yeah, I think one of the things which I think we're discussing with Aurelio was the tension between platform governance, because all the platform governance is starting from the big tech giants, mostly American, but we have our state law or country law and EU law. So question will be where the actually platform governance, I think company has its own laws. So that's why every day, somehow they ask me do you agree or not? Yeah? I think it's trying to protect themselves in a way, but actually they have their own kind of rules and regulations. So really, we don't know exactly the where the government, platform governance finish, and then actually EU law start or Spanish law start. So where is the bound? I mean, where is the kind of touch point between these Meta or Google's rules and our state law? Okay. I mean, that was something which I'm curious about. That okay. And it's difficult to exactly yes. Up to here, okay, you are belong to the Spanish law, okay? Up to here, you're fine, okay? I don't know. So, do you have some answer for that? Okay.
Well, I am sure that all the legal or jurists here in the room can answer that question, because law, it's in a hierarchy, right? Okay. So you can see whether it's autonomy-based, like in the platforms of the platform, and then you have mandatory rules from the state, you have mandatory rules from the EU, and you have a hierarchy you have to obey. The thing is whether those overriding rules, mandatory rules, can reach certain platforms. Yeah. But there's a hierarchy, established hierarchy. So this is more or less clear. Okay.
So, as fascinating as this debate is, I think it's probably time to wrap it up. Thank the three of you once more for such a thought-provoking panel and session. And we're running a little bit late, but I suggest we take a small 5-minute mental health break. But as I say to my students, 5 minutes. So please, in 5 minutes, we should all be back in our seats, okay? Yeah. Thank you once more.
Okay, thank you. And also, thank you for listening non-legal, perspective. Okay, all your pages.
So.